I would never presume to second guess what President Trump may or may not decide. And that's the sort of the great unknown of this situation, as you're aware. There are signs that he is losing patience with President Trump, with President Putin, that he feels President Putin has perhaps not been completely straight with him in the discussions. Whether that will lead him to conclude that America should put additional sanctions on Russia is an open question. They, of course, have raised the question of tariffs. I think many in Europe, and indeed I think Canada and the UK, are slightly less convinced that blanket tariffs against countries that are importing oil would really have the desired effect. And I think we continue to believe we need to work more on the ports, the shadow fleet, the refineries. We think this is a way of having an equivalent impact of reducing Russia's revenue from oil and gas exports. We also have included, of course, LNG in the 19th package, and we are accelerating the phase out of our residual dependence on Russian oil, particularly for a couple of member states who have some specific problems in this regard. We know that there are a couple of member states, particularly Hungary and Slovakia, who have also technical problems because their refineries are particularly adapted to Russian crude, and it's difficult for them to easily switch to other sources. We've been working with them. We encourage them to move as quickly as possible. So anything that the US can do to put additional pressure on those member states to accelerate their change of their sourcing of their crude oil would be very welcome. All the indicators in the Russian economy are flashing red. Russia is struggling economically. They're running out of money. They are struggling with high interest rates, high inflation, with a squeezed labor market, companies being forced to take bad loans by the government to finance the war economy. So all of this is indicative of the extent of the pressure Russia is under as a result of our sanctions. But of course, they are constantly creating new means of circumvention and new ideas about how to get around these sanctions, and we have to close those loopholes. So they will say, and they do say, that they are simply providing normal trade and that they are not providing military support or support for weapons to Russia, and that may be true. I mean, though we do have some evidence of, for example, drones, which maybe are, technically speaking, non-military until they're made military. But I think the discussion with China has been, frankly, complicated because they don't accept that this is circumvention. We obviously have different figures, and we do see evidence that China is a platform for the import and re-export to Russia of quite significant numbers of what we call battlefield goods. These are the advanced microelectronics that find their way into Russian drones and missiles. We have tried to engage with China on this point. It has not been easy. And as you know, we have sanctioned Chinese entities, and we recently sanctioned some Chinese banks. So, I mean, we are slowly starting to address the issue of bad actors in China that we identify. We would infinitely prefer to be able to have a more constructive systemic dialogue with China, but so far they seem unwilling to engage on that level.